I got a comment on my most recent video and I want to read it to everybody watching this. Are you ever going to make a video that's actually supporting black people instead of showing all the ignorant black people and pandering to people who hate BLM? And the issue I have with this comment is the same issue I have with every single other comment that's exactly the same. Instead of actually watching the video in full and making a counterpoint, or actually talking about something that I left out, or actually adding on, or actually disagreeing in a respectful way, you have nothing to add except your feelings. All you want is for me to make a video that pleases you. You want me to stop making videos about the actual issues and the flaws within an organization that has a lot of them. You claim that I'm pandering to people who hate BLM, which is white people. I don't need to pander to a damn person. Why? Because I'm not doing this to pander. I'm doing this to point out problems. I'm doing this to point out flaws. You can hate how I speak. You can hate how I talk about videos. You can hate that I miss some things, which is an honest thing to be upset about. But don't sit here and ever tell me that I have to make something, or that I need to start making other things to please you, and then accuse me of pandering. But since we like to play this game of he does nothing but tear down the black community, Black Lives Matter does nothing wrong, Black Lives Matter is good, Black Lives Matter is 100% a good thing, I'm going to hold a mirror to everybody's face that actually thinks like that. And if you don't get the point after this video, then you've missed the fucking problem here, and it needs to be addressed, because if it doesn't, you're going to lose more and more support for the thing you hold so dear. Sasha Johnson, Black Lives Matter activist, shot by a group of men. A prominent Black Lives Matter activist was shot by a group of 4 black men at a party in South London. Sasha Johnson is critically ill in the hospital after being shot in the head at a property in Peckham on Sunday. Commander Alison Hadari said that the men had entered the garden of the property and discharged the firearm. Miss Johnson's party said that she had previously received death threats, but police have said that there was nothing to suggest it was a targeted attack. Hadari added detectives were also not aware of any reports of threats made against her prior to this incident. Miss Johnson was left in a life-threatening condition following the shooting at the property in Concert Road at about 3 in the morning. On Monday, Johnson's party said that she had undergone an operation and remained in critical care. Another man who was thought to be in his late 20s also suffered a superficial knife injury during the attack. He went to the hospital but was discharged following treatment. Richard Leonard, who is leading the investigation, said about 30 guests had been at the party, which is being held in the back of a garden on the property. He said that the 4 attackers had been dressed in dark clothing and went into the garden through the side entrance. In the ensuing melee, a firearm has been discharged, injuring Sasha. Leonard added, "Our investigation continues to make progress, but we need the assistance of the community to find out who was responsible for this horrific attack." And this is the part that I want people who are so fixated on something specific that I'm going to talk about need to hear. Amar Ayton, a friend of Miss Johnson's, previously told the BBC she understood the incident is more related to rival gangs as opposed to her activism. What is the purpose of me bringing up this article? What is the purpose of me talking about Sasha Johnson? Here's something I'm going to get off my chest right now for anybody who's excited about this, because I saw people making jokes, I saw people laughing at it, I saw people saying good, I saw people being excited that this happened. And if you're one of those people, go fuck yourself. Why are you celebrating something like that? Why are you making a joke about somebody getting shot in the head? I understand you don't like Black Lives Matter. I understand you got different opinions about Black Lives Matter, but I could have those same opinions. I could think differently from Black Lives Matter, but I do not want to see any of these people in critical condition. I don't want to see any of these individuals shot. I don't want to see any of these individuals dead, because that doesn't do anything for me. That doesn't help this situation. That doesn't help the actual work that people are doing to actually make things better in society. Because say what you want, there are individuals who support Black Lives Matter that actually do good. I know we all see the shuck and jivers, the people who pander, the people who want to make a quick buck off of this, but there are people out there who support Black Lives Matter that actually do good things. But there's a piece of this that I want people to understand. I brought up how in the article it stated 4 black men and how somebody claimed that it was more related to gang violence. And CNN did an article about this situation, and there was one part of the article that I just found so interesting. Telly added that while he recognized the incident will have shocked those in the local community and further afield, he called upon the public to avoid speculating as to the motive of the circumstances or the circumstances behind it. What do you think people did when they found out black woman shot? Do you think that they sat there and said, I'm going to wait for more details to come out, I'm going to wait for more information before I go on Twitter and give my knee-jerk hot take? If you think that happened for everybody, you're a more gullible fool than I thought, because you had people claiming that, and if it wasn't, white supremacy is still to blame somehow. White people will forever have deep-rooted hatred towards black women. We are the devil in their eyes. Praying for Sasha Johnson. Hope she pulls through. Sasha Johnson is still in critical condition. The white attacks on her character while immediately denying her shooter was racially motivated are almost verbatim how the murders of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were reported in 1969. I'm praying that Sasha Johnson receives full healing. I'm also praying that whoever shot her is found out. Also, to those saying that BLM is a terrorist organization are just threatened and they feel that they would no longer be in control. BLM threatens white supremacy. Nothing about this is confirmed to be about white supremacy. They got 4 black dudes being the main culprits, and there's apparently pictures going around of a few of them. I'm not posting that because I'm not giving that the proper attention. I don't want to, because it's not about them. It's about Sasha Johnson. I hope she pulls through. I hope she makes a full recovery. I know people are mad at her because apparently she made a tweet about how she wants white people as her slaves. I do not care, because that's a tweet. There will be nothing to actually come of that. I do not want to see her dead. I am not happy that this happened to her. I do not like that this happened to her in any instance. But when are we going to have this conversation about not only jumping the gun to start claiming that things are about white people, white supremacy, and racially motivated attacks? And when are we actually going to start addressing that black people also do harm to black people? And when I say that part, I'm reminded of what Don Lemon said to Terry Crews.
The Black Lives Matter movement was started because it was talking about police brutality. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that talks about gun violence in communities, including, black communities, then start that movement with that name.
And that, to this day, even though I think it's been like a year, maybe 2, still pisses me off, because people think like how Don Lemon said. There are people who only think Black Lives Matter is about police brutality. And I cannot stress this enough. No. It can't just be about that. You can't have a movement that says Black Lives Matter and it only be about one thing regarding Black lives. It can't be about this one thing, because that's the thing that we are all fixated on. There are many things that take a black person's life unjustly, but it seems like if you're not a white person doing the harm, anything else is irrelevant. Every single time I've seen people march in the streets, riot, protest, be up in arms, go to rallies, go to all these events, have all these shirts, all these celebrities talking about it, it's because it's a black person losing their life at the hands of a white individual or a white cop. When is it going to be about more? Black on black is a problem. I don't give a fuck if you think that's a conservative talking point. I don't give a fuck if you think it doesn't exist. There are countless examples of black people taking out black people, and we don't get anything past local news about that. We don't get in an uproar about that. I'm seeing people say that they hope these individuals get caught who did this to her, and that's great. But are we going to be marching in the streets for Sasha? Are we going to be protesting for Sasha? I understand that she had a vigil for her, and that's wonderful. That's actually a good thing, but that was really that close-knit group and her organization. When is everybody else going to catch on and actually come out in support of this? Why is it that every single time there are people who see things like this, that see black person wounded, and automatically start thinking about race, automatically start talking about white people, automatically start talking about how, oh, it was obviously something because white people always view black people as a threat, without any information to back it? When are we going to have the conversation that we need to actually shut the fuck up, keep the hot takes to ourselves, and wait for more information? I don't care if waiting for more information makes you feel like you're doing less. I don't care that you feel like waiting for more information makes you a bad person. You're not. Newsflash, you would be wiser to wait for more information. The reason I'm talking about this now instead of when it happened is because it was just black girl got shot. Sasha Johnson is in critical condition. There was nothing else added to it. We didn't know anything. I didn't want to sit here and say it was gang violence like the quartering. I didn't want to sit here and say that it was white people like all these other dumb fucks. I wanted to wait for more information. And now that more details have come out and it's more leaning towards gang violence and black people doing her dirty, I'm more pissed off that now that that's come out, this is going to be something that's just in the past. It's going to be something that's barely talked about outside of the closed circle that is local in that area. This ain't gonna be the headline trend. It's not gonna be #1 trending, because when it's a black person being done in by a black person, there is obvious lack of attention and care. So I have a question to all the people that like to say I'm doing this, I'm pandering. Do you know somebody whose name is Sequoia Turner, a black girl who got done in at a Black Lives Matter protest? Do you know that name? Are you interested at all to know about that name? What about the thread on Twitter that is countless black people, black adults and black children who had their lives taken unjustly that you don't know about because it didn't fit the narrative? What about their lives? Do their lives matter at all to you? Because they didn't suffer the sting of police brutality from a white cop, do their lives mean anything to you? Here's my problem with people who like to say I'm pandering, or that, oh, I'm shucking and jiving, or the people that like to say, oh, you're tearing down the black community. You all don't want to face a certain reality that when you jump specifically for something that fits a narrative. You will all shuck and jive and be outraged when a white cop does something, but you will not make the same amount of sounds when a black person does something. And this is even more upsetting because it's a black woman who is actively supporting Black Lives Matter, who was a prominent activist, and it's not getting the same traction. It's not getting the same attention. It's not getting the same outrage. It's not getting the same respect or protest or riots that you would give to somebody like George Floyd. Why? What's the difference? The same outrage I saw about Ma'Khia Bryant is not the same I'm seeing about Sasha Johnson. Why? What's the difference there? The difference is that with Sasha, it was black people. With Ma'Khia, with George, there was a white person involved. And that makes people more upset because they're so fixated on race. They're so fixated on what they want to be a problem and that they view as the only problem. That's not the only problem. When I hear Black Lives Matter, I'm thinking of every single black life that is taken unjustly. Point blank, period. Yes, all lives matter. Yes, Black Lives Matter. But when you sit there and try to tell me that Black Lives Matter is about police brutality and police brutality only, pump the brakes, cut the bullshit, and ain't it? Because it shows me that if I were taken out by my next door neighbor, I'm not getting that same media attention. I'm not getting that same adulation. I'm not getting that same respect. I'm not getting that same outrage because I didn't fit a narrative. Because in mainstream eyes, racial issues are the biggest problem, and we don't need to be talking about in-house issues. There is a tweet, and I'm going to end this video like this, that somebody put out about this that was an eye-opener to me. Sasha Johnson was shot by people in our own community. Will we be out on the streets like we are when police do the same? An activist who stands up for black people to the point of putting down white people, but it was her own that shot her. The community, silence. So what you gonna do? To all the people that say I'm a coon and Uncle Tom, that say I'm pandering to white people, that say I'm shucking and jiving for white people, to all the people that see Black Lives Matter is 100% a good thing, do no wrong, how dare you talk about Black Lives Matter, to all the people that like to stand up with no information and say white person did this to a black person, I have a question for you. When are you going to be about more? When are you going to actually deal with other issues outside of race. I'm not saying stop talking about race. I'm not saying that that's not an issue. I'm saying, when are you going to finally start addressing black people doing harm to black people? And if your honest answer is, all right, I understand, we actually need to do more because this is also a problem, cool. Thank you for listening and watching this video. If your answer is nothing but excuses and really bad takes about black on black not existing, or black on black this, and making all these different excuses to try to discredit what I'm saying, thank you for proving to me that in your eyes, not every black life means anything to you. Not every black life actually matters. Thanks for watching.